Imagine you've just been appointed governor of a city. It's a prestigious post, a career-making opportunity. But there's a problem. Every single person appointed before you died on their first night in office. Not in battle, not from illness, just found dead at dawn. No explanation. Would you take the job? In 1850s Korea, one man said yes. And the reason every official kept dying wasn't a curse or a conspiracy. It was a ghost, a young woman who had been murdered, betrayed, and forgotten. A woman who refused to disappear until someone finally listened. Her name was Arang, and this is her story. To understand Arang's story, you first need to understand the world she was born into. Korea in the 1400s to 1800s was governed by the Joseon dynasty, a society built on strict Confucian values. And in that society, a woman's life was defined by three loyalties: obedience to her father before marriage, to her husband after, and to her son in widowhood. A woman of good family did not leave the house alone. She did not speak to men outside her family. Her reputation, her virtue, was considered more valuable than her life. If that reputation was damaged, even through no fault of her own, she was disgraced. Her family was disgraced. This wasn't cruelty for its own sake. It was the system. Everyone lived inside it. Arang was the daughter of the local magistrate in Miryang, a city in the south of what is now South Korea. She was educated, well-mannered, and lived by every rule expected of her. But one night, she was lured out of the compound. Some versions say her own nursemaid betrayed her, manipulated by a man who was obsessed with Arang. Other versions say she followed someone she trusted completely. Either way, she was attacked. She was murdered. Her body was hidden beneath a bamboo grove near the Yeongnamna Pavilion on the banks of the Miryang River. And no one was ever punished. Her father, shamed and broken, quietly resigned his post and left Miryang forever. The killer remained. The city moved on, and Arang was forgotten, or so they thought. In Korean spiritual belief, there is a concept called Han, hen. It doesn't translate cleanly into English. It's not just sadness. It's not just anger. It's a deep, accumulated grief, the feeling of injustice left unresolved. The weight of being wronged and never made right. Koreans will tell you that Han is woven into their national identity. Centuries of invasion, occupation, and suffering have given the Korean people a collective understanding of this feeling that most cultures simply don't have a word for. And in Korean belief, someone who dies with extreme Han, especially someone who died violently, unjustly, before their time, cannot pass on to the afterlife. Their spirit becomes a wonhan, a ghost of resentment, bound to the place of their death, unable to rest. Arang had every reason to become a wonhan. She was young. She was innocent. She was betrayed by someone she trusted. She was murdered, and her killer walked free. So she stayed. New magistrates were appointed to Miryang. Each one arrived, settled into the official compound, and by morning was dead. No visible wounds. No explanation. Just gone. The pattern repeated for years. Word spread to the capital. No one wanted the post. Miryang, a functioning city, a place with thousands of residents, effectively had no government. Because no official would survive the night. Then a man named Saeng volunteered for the post. The records don't tell us much about him, whether he was brave, reckless, or simply had nothing to lose. What the legend tells us is that he had heard every rumor. He knew exactly what had happened to every official before him. And he said yes anyway. On his first night in the magistrate's compound, he didn't sleep. He sat in the main hall and waited. At some point in the night, Arang appeared. She was described as wearing white, the color of mourning in Korea. Her hair was loose, and her presence was terrifying enough that most men who had encountered her simply died from the shock, or so the legend says. Saeng didn't run. He didn't scream. He looked at her and asked, "What do you need?" Arang told him everything. The nursemaid. The man who killed her. The bamboo grove. She told him exactly where her body was hidden, and exactly who was responsible. Saeng listened. He wrote it all down. And when morning came, he began his investigation. He found the body exactly where she said it would be. He identified the killer, who had spent years living freely in Miryang, as if nothing had happened. The man was arrested, tried before a proper court, and executed. The night after the execution, Arang appeared to Saeng one final time. This time, she wasn't terrifying. She was calm. She was smiling. She bowed to him, the formal, deep bow of someone expressing profound gratitude. And then she was gone. Never seen again. In Korean, this is called Haewon, the resolution of Han, the release of resentment. It's not just a ghost story plot device. Haewon is a genuine spiritual and cultural concept, the idea that injustice must be made right, not just forgotten. That the dead cannot truly rest until the living acknowledge what happened to them. Arang's Han was resolved, not because time passed, not because people moved on, but because one person stopped, listened, and did something about it. That's what made the difference. Miryang still exists today. The Yeongnamna Pavilion, the place where Arang's body was hidden, still stands on the banks of the Miryang River. If you visit, you can walk the same grounds. Every year, the city holds the Arang Festival, a celebration honoring her memory. She has been depicted in Korean novels, films, and television dramas. Most recently in the 2012 drama Arang and the Magistrate, which retold her story for a new generation. 500 years later, Arang hasn't been forgotten. And given everything she went through to be remembered, maybe that's exactly as it should be. If you want more stories like this, the legends, myths, and hidden histories of Korea that most people never hear, subscribe to Korea Lore. A new story every week.